Our next poet is, to put it mildly, really one of the most important and enduring poets of the last 60 years. She's a boundary breaker in every sense. It challenged the male-dominated superstructure in American letters, made it uncomfortable. She never swerved, and over decades has written some of the most beautiful and painful poems in our literature. It makes sense that Alicia is also an artist because her poems are, in a way, beautifully drawn, rich with image and detail, full of ideas that are also carefully drawn out, thought out, and explored, that are important not only for their challenge of the status quo, but for their exquisite craftsmanship and enduring sense of humanity and even spirituality. A committed feminist, she helped normalize the idea that a woman could be devoted to her children, but also to her career. And she did so not merely by example, but by exploring this dynamic and striking poems that help lay the groundwork for a paradigm shift in our culture. So many poets I've spoken to have been so deeply influenced by her. They've used her as both a model and a sort of spiritual guide, and so we're beyond lucky to have a chance to hear from her today in Bryant Park. Alicia, let me read this bio here. Has published 19 collections of poetry, been twice nominated for the National Book Award, and has twice received the National Jewish Book Award for Poetry, among other honors. As a critic, she is the author of the now classic Stealing the Language, The Emergence of Women's Poetry in America, and other books on poetry and on the Bible. Her most recent collections of poems are Waiting for the Light and The Volcano, and After, selected in New Poems 2002 to 2019. She was New York State Poet Laureate and a Chancellor of the Academy of American Poets. She was born in Brooklyn and now lives in the Upper West Side of what the Lenape people and Walt Whitman called Manhattan. Here's Alicia Ostriker.
Who is this person? Thank you, John. Can I have a copy of that? Well, it is beautiful to be here on a night like this. Thank you, everybody, for being here, and sister poets, thank you both for your glorious voices. I'm going to read a little bit from Waiting for the Light, an older book that I started writing when I moved back to New York City after living in Princeton, which is a very nice place, for 50 years. But New York City is where I was born and bred. You can take the girl out of the city, but you can't take the city out of the girl. So I'll read a few poems from this book, which I started writing by just walking around the Upper West Side neighborhood, where I was now planted. August morning, Upper Broadway. As the body of the beloved is a window through which we behold the blackness and vastness of space pulsing with stars, and as the man on the corner with his fruit stand is a window, and the cherries, the blackberries, raspberries, avocados, and carrots are a rose window like the one in Chartres, yes, or the one in Paris, through which light floods from the other world, the pure one, stabbing tourists with malicious, abundant joy. Though the man is tired in the summer heat and reads his newspaper listlessly, without passion, and people pass his stand buying nothing, let us call this scene a window looking out not at a paradise, but as a paradise might be if we had eyes to see. The women in their swaying dresses, the season's fruit, the babies in their strollers infinitely soft, clear window after clear window. And I've been noticing this summer that dresses and skirts are back. Does anybody notice that? I mean, pants are the norm in New York, but I saw a lot of dresses and long dresses. So I liked that poem. It was the first poem I wrote coming back to the Upper West Side. And then I thought, well, this is very lyrical, but there's something missing from it. So then I wrote about what was missing from it. It was something about energy, the light. What is the birthplace of the light that stabs me with joy? And what is the difference between avocados sold on the street by a young man conceived in Delhi and avocados sold in the West Side market by cornrow girls? I am anyhow afloat in tides of Puerto Rican, Cuban, Mexican, West Indian Spanish, wavelets of Urdu, swelling like oceans, sweating like jackhammers, rasping like crows, calling out in the West Side market, the Rite Aid, and every other shop on the street. ¿Por qué no comprendes? You don't own the city anymore. The city belongs and has always belonged to its shoals of exiles, crashing ashore in foaming, salty droplets. Como no, Granita, with their dances and their grandmothers, with their drinking and their violence, and their burning yearning for dignity and smelling money. What is the joy? Is it those lamps of light, those babies in their strollers? Those avocados with their dark green pebbled rinds shining from inside? $2 to $4 in the West Side market and $3 for $4 from the cart? Joy, like white light between the dollar bills. Is it those volleys of light fired by ancestors who remember tenements, the sweatshops, the war, who supposed their children's children would be rich and free? So it was that, when I came back, it wasn't exactly the same as it had been when I left. And on West End Avenue, everybody was Jewish, still, some. But up on Broadway, you heard nothing but Spanish. And that stopped me for a while until I realized it was just all the same as it was. This tide of immigrants, that tide of immigrants, all the same. And then I felt comfortable. Okay, and here's just one more about New York. Manhattan. I was asking for something specific and perfect for my city, says Walt, lover of crowds, praiser of trades and occupations, celebrant of the daily tide of immigrants. And I, too, seek the perfect image of you. You mothering harbor, you royal sewer, you finger inside the sky, you dangling dream deferred, you queer hideout, you incubator of Jewish jazz, you who exist as a landing field for helicopters, you whose laughter is heartless. You digest dudes who crave to be big shots, celebrities, hedge fund managers, who like to show off and be bad, who get a kick from champagne. I am looking for a toaster in the hardware store. And here, two women stand behind a counter, minding their cash registers in their red apron uniforms. A points to B and says, "You know what she did Saturday? She went skinny dipping." I have to wonder where. B looks pleased with herself. the Harlem River. Really? It's where show-off boys used to dive, and we giggling girls used to just watch those bad boys. Times do change. B says, I have to let my bad girl out sometimes. So that's Waiting for the Light. I think there may be some copies of that here. Now I want to read from the book that will be coming out, the new book, and this is my first reading from it. So if I mess up, forgive me fast. It will be coming out from Alice James, and it's called The Holy and Broken Bliss, Poems in Plague Time. So this was basically written between 2020 and 2022. And what's meant by plague in the title is, first of all, it's poems about getting old and the approach of you-know-what. And about the COVID plague, and about the illness of the body politic that was going on all at the same time. So where am I? Okay. And there's a kind of prefatory poem called These Be the Words, which is lifted from Deuteronomy. The words of an old woman, shuffling the cards of her own decline, the decline of her husband, the decline of her nation, her plague-smitten world. All these realities, cages from which there is no escape, virus that has slain its millions, rage and despair driving the body politic into violent writhings, knotted upheavings, drama I watch from the wings. As I tell myself, these too are the wings of the Shekhinah between which I rise and shower, dress in the morning, undress at night in my house of many doors, many windows, little sky. Song reversed to clanging. Alarm! Alarm! Write if you can find words, I tell myself. Write what you are afraid to write. Lay down your cards, step over the lintel, through that door. Write or die. Now that write or die, I have to say, I lifted from HD. And whoever has not read HD, go and read her, because that's something that she writes in her last book of poems, and she's invoking the muse. Write or die. So, time. Time is like a twisted arm. My husband is sleeping more hours, walking much more slowly. Slowly. He goes down the stone steps from the apartment building to Riverside Park, holding the rail, holding his balance. The summer vegetation riots and rots around his sandaled feet. Slowly, the image of a man walking slowly down a set of stone stairs recurs in my dreams, has recurred in my dreams for 50 years. What it means, we all know. What they say, slowly they say. It is not a bridge, it is a rejoining, they say. They say it is a rejoining, not a bridge to imagined torments or cloudlets, but the slow return of our being to you. back along the path where we began, returning to you, like a child, tired of freedom, needing the smell of the mother. They say that. Demonstration in plague time. They call their region the flyover states. States of trash, cockroaches, despisals. Today they are demonstrating against vaccination. It's all about anger, isn't it? Anger and hurt beneath it. The disrespect. The disrespect hurts like anything. Halo of piquant mosquitoes humming. They are dying of the rank disrespect, dying of disease, drink and drugs, suicide. If anyone has arms long enough to reach past the anger, to embrace the hurt, that alligator in your belly, that repetitive mockery, if the magic of love exists anywhere, let us imagine a superhero president pulling it out of his sleeve, a rainbow scarf, a mitten from the cedar chest of a painful childhood. They say this is what Jesus did, simply reached out to the hurt with arms like tree boughs, fingers like springtime petals. And another one about the state of the disunion. All that year. And this is for Cynthia Hope. We were body surfing a wave of public venom, attempting to swim. It was terrific, thrilling. Hate sprayed us on the left and on the right. We wondered, would it smash us into a reef? On screen, our swaggering leader, man we elected, loosed lies from his lips like eels. It was a good moment for cartoonists and journalists and billionaires and lovers of guns. A good moment for poets. Poets thrive on disaster, born as we are within the wound. Tachycardia. Tachycardia all day yesterday. Faint 8 a.m. By evening, a fast thud-thud, insistent as if someone is trying to tell me something in a language I don't know, the sign language of an entity that expresses itself in rhythm and is becoming impatient with my ignorance. We used to understand each other perfectly, or so I thought. I thought we were like sisters. Now it seems, for 80 years, she has labored nonstop, thump, thump, 24/7, without complaint. I have been like some plantation mistress, believing in my own benevolence, believing I and my personal house slave understand each other. Now, my heart is racing, as if to get away through the underground to freedom. Okay, and this is a poem about something I saw a video of, and you may have seen the video too. There were a lot of videos going around. Nocturne. A man sleeps in his car in the fast food parking lot. A cop knocks on his window. The man is passive as a peony, gets out of the car, hands over his papers without complaint, does the breathalyzer quietly, then the cop leans over the man's ear, begins to arrest him. Parking lights cast a pale gleam on the naked, speckled asphalt. The video camera stares. Suddenly, the man fights like a tiger, struggles free, runs, is shot, dies. We wonder, was it the handcuffs drove the man mad like that? Or something else? Can we guess what word the cop whispered in that black man's ear that night? And then in contrast, anything in motion. A small girl in the park runs ahead of her mother, skipping, jumping and giggling, looking back over her shoulder to make sure the mother is still there. Because what if she is gone? I like seeing her do this. The mother likes it. It makes the mother smile. The older brother also smiles because he loves her, I surmise. He is a sweet boy who truly loves her. The sky above the park parades some clouds. The family heads for the row of swings. I tried to imagine them painted by Monet in one of his pastoral scenes, but Monet does not paint anything in motion. Happiness needs to express itself in motion. I don't have my camera with me. What I have is my eyes, my need to praise. Okay. Just a few more. Late winter in plague time. We permit ourselves a walk every day. We believe outdoors is safe. We remove our masks, and the trees in Riverside Park are so individual. The curved or abrupt swerves of their boughs appear to demonstrate free will, entwined with biology. So then one day, crossing the street to the park, something in the air, not wind, not fragrance, surges against my body like breakers from the row of leafless sycamores. What can it be? It must be the sap rising. Yes, today must be the day the sap begins to rise, exciting the trees so that their bodies emit waves of a chemical science cannot yet name, which my own body can sense even in the midst of winter, even in the midst of plague. The old woman reads Ecclesiastes and the Song of Songs. We quote from Ecclesiastes 12 and Song of Songs 2. Before the evil days come, when I will say I have no pleasure in them, and before the golden bowl, owl, old woman, they say, be broken. The wheel broken at my beloved is mine. I have 2 tasks, and I am his. Find truer language for the plague year, the Bardo year. Very like the Holland Tunnel, endless gray. Take my bulletproof vest off. Take it off. I mean, I wish I mean, I need to love with the love that is like milk before the pitcher shatters. Finally, I did so with my mother. Love flawed, flowed. I do it in moments with my man. Down the mountain we go, over the crumbling ice, gripping hard earth, not running, careful not to trip over a root or a rock and fall and break a leg bone or skull. Down the mountain we go slowly, limping slightly, fighting the fight in us, old eruptions of anger, envy, pride, or bliss, singing the song in us, they say, is stronger than death. Smoke help me, wine help me, Shekhinah help me to love without cause, without cease. Help me believe existence itself is bliss, broken, and we alone required to mend it. Just confession. Why? No, confession. When I chose him, he was the one, the quintessence of energy and wit. Sweetie, I say, stop making me laugh. When I laugh at my age, I have to pee. And you know my bladder is like a talkative old person. When they pause, you may think they are done, but not at all. And there was always the river rushing through blackness inside him. Ostinato. He was the one, the unpredictable, hairy monkey among the puppets, cheerful contrarian, perfecting his serve and his equations, and there was always the river rushing through blackness, guiding him. Some nights, before we fall asleep, he asks me to recite Prospero's "Our revels now are ended" speech. For I am his designated Shakespeare consultant. Other nights he reads Dickens to me, or Isaac Bashevis Singer, or David Hume, or Lao Tzu, while the light of 1 billion high redshift galaxies drives past our verdant planet, and our cream white bedroom walls curving and curving. And just one last poem and a coda. The force that sends light. May it find me. May it find my eyes, illuminate my mind, gladden my waning days. May the one who writes in the book of life inscribe my name among the poets. May I learn to read it. May my humble request for more light, more time be honored. And a coda. May my poems be shards of the holy and broken bliss that circles and shackles the earth. Thank you.